Alright, on this episode of Death by Bungie, I am going to do something that I am hoping to do more and more commonly and more frequently now. When I went to Maryland, those of you following Death by Bungie either on the Facebook page where I posted up-to-date videos pretty much, or at least up-to-date pictures and stories and all that good fun stuff. And those of you following that know, and as you might know from our YouTube channel, because I've just uploaded hunt number one, day number one, the opening day of the Maryland early Crossbow season. I'm so excited about that this year, and it really turned out fantastic. I know a lot of people watching Death by Bungie are new hunters, and I think that's fantastic. If I can contribute in any way to people getting into crossbow hunting and enjoying it and being successful, because the easiest way to really enjoy it is to be successful, if I can contribute to all of that, I think that's fantastic, and that's what I want to do. I know that Death by Bungie is not really a channel for expert hunters, people that have killed lots of big bucks and all that good stuff. You probably know everything I talk about already, right? I'm not an expert on this stuff. I just want to share with you what I've learned over the last 9 years, 10 years or so of hunting with a crossbow, or shooting the crossbow and all that good stuff. This is the 9th season, I think I figured out. I started in 2010 was the year that I bought Bungie. 2010 was the first year that we went afield. So that would be 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 9 years. This is the 9th season of hunting with it. The 6th year in a row I went to Maryland, and the 5th season of Death by Bungie on this YouTube channel. It's also an opportunity maybe to see what shots are good, what shots are bad, how shots work, how shots don't, good shots to take, bad shots to take, that sort of thing. And if I can share that information, then all the better, right? I mean, that way you have more information when you go afield. Like I said, I know that a lot of people watching this channel might come across and say, well, I'm only interested in shooting big bucks, and they have all the hunting info they need. They're just looking for more big bucks because that's what they shoot. This is not that kind of channel. But if you are enjoying this kind of stuff, then let's get to it. Let's look at that shot and see how it goes. Now, the shot is already on the YouTube channel. The video is already up. And this year in Maryland, we really had a lot of good luck. I'm sitting at the computer now so I can go through this footage, but all of it has been put in that video, at least for this first hunt, is already in that video. And the success that I had there, the video that I got there, was some of the best video, compilation of video that I've gotten since I've been in Maryland. I really got lucky this year. It's taken me years to get to the point where I can film well, and I don't have expensive equipment. I want to be clear about that. We're going to do a live stream soon here about the gear that I use, about filming your own hunts. So make sure you stay tuned, make sure you subscribe, and enable those notifications if that helps you, so you can be on top of those live streams when they are going live. I'm going to try and do one this Sunday, I think, about that topic. Now, I'm looking at the videos, and I want to go through what we got here. We have 3 different camera angles. Like I said, I was very lucky this year. It's taken me years to get to the point where I can consistently put this sort of video together and shoot this kind of footage. But this year, it all fell together. I mean, it all fell in place, and it worked very well. So these videos are pretty exciting. Let's go to the main footage first. I'm going to go into... I have 3 different camera angles. The first is a DSLR, and that is the main camera angle that we would be using. If I can get in there. I thought I had these all open. Apparently, I didn't do a very good job. There we go. So the DSLR one, if I can locate that, what we have here is, first of all, the deer approaches from my front. She's way out across the field. She's coming across the field, and I see her. And at that point, I'm ready to go. I'm setting the camera up. I get the camera situated so that it's got like a wide angle view. I like to start my filming with a wide angle so that you can see the trees on the left. You can see that sweet gum tree and its branches sort of flapping in the breeze. And I adjust the camera a little bit, but we're looking out over that field, and I want you to be able to see out across that field. I want you to see where the bait pile is, and I want you to see the grove of trees where this deer is approaching from. All of that's important to me because it helps tell the story. It helps put you in the place so you kind of know what we're dealing with. Now, this deer is approaching right out in front of me. I'm tucked back in the hedgerow a little bit. I'm not too concerned about this deer seeing me, but you always have to be concerned about movement. Movement is what animals are trained to pick up, and this deer will pick up any unnecessary movement. And now, so you'll see, I'm really only adjusting the camera and playing around with that, and I'm not going to adjust the crossbow, that sort of thing. Not going to get in position for a shot unless her head is down, unless she's looking in a different direction. Just a little tip there. And you're always looking, you're watching their eyes. And it doesn't hurt to have your face covered. I always wear a mosquito-proof netting mask type thing. Because one thing deer will pick up is eyeballs. Most animals can pick up either blinking eyes or those 2 eyes in the front of the head. That's what they're looking for all the time. It's in their nature, it's in their DNA to look for eyeballs. Eyeballs in the front of the head are a sign of a predator. They see that in a tree. They're just as concerned about that as if they saw a dog standing in front of them on the ground. They're going to be concerned about it. Now, finally get the camera position. She makes her way to the bait pile, and I think she's meandering all over the field to sort of find her way to that pile. She's probably been there before and just wants to she's got to find it all over again. She's got to find it from square one. So she just got to find her way back there. Still farting around with the camera. I'm still moving that around, but I finally get the camera positioned where the deer is in the center of the frame. That's kind of what I'm looking for here. That way, if I do get successful, if I do find myself lucky enough to take a shot and she runs off, I get as much footage of her running to one side or the other as possible, because if she runs to the left, her left, then I see it over there, and if she runs to her right, then I see her over there, and at least we get to see her vacate the premises and all that. So the problem with this, as you can see, and as you know, is that she is head-on, and that's a problem. I don't like head-on shots, nor should you. I have taken 2 head-on shots the entire time that I've hunted now in 9 seasons, and I keep counting it up in every video I do. You'd think I would just have all this stuff in my head, but I don't. But 9 seasons of hunting with the crossbow, I've taken 2 head-on shots, and right under, looking for the heart shots, basically, with the head up, deer looking at you, shooting right down under their, down under their throat, into the front cavity there to try and hit the heart. First one worked out perfect. I killed that deer, did not go a yard, died right on the spot. Second one, never saw that deer again. And it has bothered me ever since, and I won't take a front-on shot again like that. Not going to do it. Not planning on it. Now, I'll never say never. The opportunity presents itself, and conditions are perfect, and I'm thinking about it, and I'm not just being desperate, and then I'm taking a good shot. Maybe I think about it. But anyway, as we're looking at this, she's got her head down, and that's the time to be swinging the crossbow back. Now, I want to switch over to the Tacticam footage. If we look at that, and this Tacticam has really, really impressed me. I'm so happy with that little camera. But when you'll see on here that I've got the crossbow off to my left. I'm holding it over there. This tree stand doesn't have a front shooting rail. So I'm positioned myself, okay, I've got to turn myself to get my left knee out in front of me so I can put my left elbow on top of my left knee and be able to shoot like this. That's not a problem for me. I've practiced that way. I've killed deer that way. I shoot that way out of a blind frequently. So it's not something that's new to me. It's not a problem. But it's something that you need to practice. And I would suggest that you do that. I suggest that you do go out there so you get the muscle memory, so you are familiar with holding a crossbow that way and how long you can do it. This was a long scenario. This was a very long encounter with a deer. It took her a long time to reposition. Once she found that corn pile, she was on that. That's the nature of corn piles. Corn does not work for me in Maryland as well as it did this year. This year it worked extremely well because, as you can see from that field, it's all grass. There's some native vegetation in there that will attract deer and that they can eat. But as a general rule, it doesn't have milo and it doesn't have soybeans in it. And that's what they plant in this plot, in this field every year. It's usually 40 acres of milo or 40 acres of soybeans. And then you got tons of deer in there. This year, no. It's just it was so wet down there they couldn't get it planted. So the corn became more valuable. That's why I had so much success this year. I really believe that. Because in the end, you'll see that I shot 2 deer in this stand alone. So I really had a good shot there, a really good opportunity to get a shot. But I'm happy with this. I'm tucked back in there. I'm just waiting for, basically, I can move the crossbow off to my left to sort of support it, lean it down, set it on the side rail of the tree stand, and then bring it back when the shot presents itself. You just got to move when she is not looking. Now, eventually, she moves her head to the right. She's looking off to the right. She's kind of looking for predators. She's looking for other deer. She's looking for other deer that might be coming in there to either push her off the bait pile or to accompany her and have a good afternoon and all that fun stuff. And eventually, I finally get her to turn a little bit, and I'm able to take a shot. Now, here's one thing that I want to be very clear about. This is going to be a quartering to shot. And if you are new to crossbow hunting, if you're new to archery in general, you probably don't want to take quartering to shots. What I mean by that is she's coming to me, quartering to me. A quartering away shot's always a better shot, really, because the deer is quartering away from you. It's, in other words, the face is going away. Quartering to presents a few problems. First of all, her head is in my direction. It's pointed kind of in my direction. And their eyes are a little bit offset, a little bit off to the sides of their head. If she's quartering to me, one of those eyes is looking straight at me. And movement, she's going to pick up on that movement. They don't have great vision, but they have really good acuity when it comes to movement. They don't like the movement. They pick up on that. So I got to be real careful. In addition to that, she's not exposing her vitals to me the way I would like. In a quartering away shot, she's exposing her vitals to me completely, because any modern broadhead, any modern crossbow, modern archery equipment is going to pierce through the rib cage. It's going to go through both of the lungs, and you got full target of lungs and heart and the whole bit. And you might enter the liver and get both lungs and the heart all in one shot. You can do all of that with a quartering away shot. A quartering away shot really is the way to take down a deer. Quartering two is kind of the opposite. That front shoulder, you don't want to shoot, in this case, to my left of that shoulder, because then you're hitting it right up front, in the front of the rib cage and the brisket there, and that's no good. And like I said, if you get the heart, you win. But if you don't get the heart, you'll never see that deer again. That's no good. And it's hard to get a pass-through shot through that front tube, because there's an awful lot of muscle, an awful lot of bone up front. So you have to tuck it behind her left shoulder. Now, her left shoulder comes forward to a point there, right? The shoulder's on top, then the leg comes down to sort of a point. That bungee triangle that I've talked about, how I like to tuck it in that bungee triangle as close to that front corner as possible. That's really what I'm aiming for here. Now you're aiming down from a tree stand. We have to think three-dimensionally. I want to aim a little bit higher in that triangle so that when it comes, when it goes in a little high, and when it goes out a little bit lower. So you got to take all that into account. But that quartering two shot is not as good, because in a sense you're really looking at one lung and the liver. That might be all you get. But a proper shot there, you're going to get the one lung and the liver. Now in the end, she finally gives me, and I'm prepared for this, that quartering two shot. I know in my head I can take that shot. I know I can make it based on my past experiences. Again, I'm not suggesting you should take that shot. That's going to depend on your experiences. This is a close-in shot. Penetration is not going to be an issue with this, although I'm using a new broadhead, as you know. So let's take this shot and see what happens. All right. Well, that looked good to me. Slow that right down on the old Tacticam here, and we'll look at that bad boy in slow motion. Boy, that's just a beautiful shot. The Tacticam recovers from the vibration of the crossbow so nicely. You get to see that arrow stabilize, and you can actually see this is shot in HD 1080p, 1920 by 1080p, and it's 120 frames per second, so I can slow it right down. When I slow it down to normal speed, that's when you get to see that arrow just sort of twirl its way through the air and make its way to the target. And the Luminox helps so much for that. I've been asked about that. I use Bird Coyote Luminox. The other thing I would point out here too, we can look at both versions of the footage. We'll look at them one after the other, boom, boom, and you can see that this deer's reaction, not only is the shot good, but the deer's reaction is beautiful. She kicks up those hind legs and makes her way out of the area to vacate the premises. And that's always a good sign. When you kick up the hind legs, that means you've got some lungs, you've got some really vital organs. You've got lungs, you've got heart, something like that. If they're humping up with the back legs down, that's not usually a good sign. But this one I felt pretty good about. And then she makes her way off. If we look, we can see even in the field cam version of the footage, which is the little GoPro camera that I always have set off to the side. In this particular shot, I had that off to my left. Problem with that is that it was kind of like at the eye level, and the grass was so high in this field that doesn't really show itself real well. Not a problem. What I ended up doing was moving it in a future video. You'll see how I did this. I moved it to a tree over to the right, so it's got a much better angle in a future video. But on this particular hunt, we do see this deer kick up and run from that angle as well, and that tells me, once again, this is a good shot. I felt really good about this shot. In the end, the new broadhead that I'm using, which is the Rage Hypodermic Crossbow broadhead, I've done plenty of other videos on that. Pretty soon you guys are going to be sick of hearing about that. So those other videos do tell you, though, that broadhead, I was pretty excited about it, that it tested real accurate with this crossbow. I was happy with that shot. And I think for the most part, this bears that out. This was an accurate shot. It looks good where it hits right on the money. That's right what I was aiming for. It was right where I wanted to be in the bungee triangle. And the deer, in the end, we tracked the blood trail about 40 yards into that grove of trees off to my left, and we were able to find the deer. I could see the deer laying there. We found the body. So it was no problem. There was no problem tracking that deer, finding that deer, and locating my trophy. Got it off to the processor in great time, and I have already eaten some of that deer, shared it with people on the Facebook page. And right now, as I'm making this video, in fact, there is a tavern-style pot roast in the crock pot that we're going to have for dinner. Can't beat that, huh? Two other things I want to point out. When I'm taking this shot, the deer's head is down, right? I'm waiting, I'm repositioning only and moving only when her head is down so that she's not going to pick me off, so she's not aware that I'm there. But as she's turning, when she puts her head down, that's when I take the shot. And the reason I do that is you want to make sure that the deer is not on alert. As unalert as possible is what we want for these deer. We don't want to tip them off that the shot is coming because they might duck the string. This deer is not aware that I'm in that tree stand, so that's not a problem. And as we see her reposition, as we see her looking around, and she finally decides that she's going to reposition herself and give me the opportunity to give me a look at her broadside here. A broadside shot's always better. I don't disagree with that one bit. But as she is repositioning here, she puts her head down and boom, we pull the trigger, and that's when we take that shot. If you look, this went through one lung, the liver, for sure. And it exited so far back on this deer that it basically cuts a swath with a 2-inch cutting diameter broadhead all the length of the deer through its vitals. The exit wound is so far back that it's really going through a lot of deer there. And I got penetration with a 280 feet per second crossbow. Bungie is a 305 feet per second crossbow on a good day. With all the quieting gear that I've added to it, I'm now down to 281 feet per second on average. And look what it did. It penetrated with no problem. And we had this kind of success in Maryland. You can't ask for more than that. So I'm very happy with that. Now, caveat at the end of this, you got to test your broadhead. You got to test your gear. You got to practice with it. You got to be comfortable with it before you go afield. But I want you to have all of this information in this nice little video. I hope it helps you digest some of this information. Maybe it helps you and you can apply it to your hunts. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it has nothing to do with your hunting style. But I just wanted to share that in case you had questions. I am anxious to hear what you think about this shot. Should I have not taken this shot, or should I have? It's easy. Hindsight's 20/20. It's easy to say, look, yeah, well, of course you should have taken the shot because you could recover the deer. But in the end, should you wait for that broadside shot, or are you comfortable with the quartering 2 shot? I'm anxious to hear that and your other thoughts on the analysis of this shot. Thank you very much for supporting Death by Bungie, for watching these videos. I hope you found this interesting. And until next time, all hail Bungie.